We are brought to you by Boss Bears Supplements. That's Boss Bears Supplements at bossbears.co. Hard work, consistency, and determination are difficult to sustain when your mind and body can't keep up. Fuel your body with what it needs to perform like a boss. Whether you're closing deals, pitching a new business idea, or training in the gym, Boss Bears take your hustle to the next level. Our ingredients are the highest quality with potency and serving sizes that are the gold standard in the industry. Check out all of Boss Bears products at bossbears.co. They have apple cider vinegar gummies. They have ashwagandha. They have all kinds of supplements in delicious gummy form. They also have them in pill form if you don't want the gummies. I prefer the gummies. They are delicious, and I've tried the apple cider vinegar. They are very good. Use code Nicky at checkout to save 10%. That's bossbears.co, code Nicky. We are brought to you by Clout Power Supplements. That's KLOUTPWR.com. So here I have the protein, the Cravings protein from Clout. This one is the salted caramel. This is some of the best protein that I've ever had in my life. It's actually delicious. I like the salted caramel and the cinnamon swirl are my two favorites. Also, their pre-workouts are amazing. So they have the Karma Nootropic pre-workout. It's a nootropic and focused pre-workout. It's a lower stimulant formula, zero itch formula. It has 4 trademark ingredients, and has fully dosed ingredients. So far, the Arctic Cherry is probably my favorite of the Karma pre-workout. Also, try the Nero Aminos from them. And also the High Stimulant Mamba is some of my favorite too. And I really like the Arctic Cherry of that one. So go to cloutpower.com and use code Nicky to save 15%. KLOUTPWR.com. Code Nicky to save 15%. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Nicky Free Podcast. We are here with Jeff Nelson and Danielle Rainwater.
Hello.
And these two are the co-owners of the Bodyshop Gym in Bothell. And so thank you guys for being here. And
thanks for having us.
Yeah. How'd you guys get into the gym business?
Well, I'll let Jeff take that one because he kind of headed the whole thing.
Yeah, kind of not roundabout. I guess just sort of unexpected in some ways. I was a banker in a previous life.
Really?
And working downtown Seattle, and I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
And
what was it about banking that you hated, dude?
Everything. Sitting at a desk crunching spreadsheets all day, like wanting to cut my wrists.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
Yeah,
I was actually at the bank today, so
yeah, I couldn't see a window or anything from where I sat, and just like it was like the epitome of like office space. Filling out TPS reports, like that was my life.
Like you wanted to go smash stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was in grad school, and at the same time, so I wanted to. Like my outlet at the time was competing and going to the gym, and I was getting really annoyed that there wasn't any good gyms around because this is
right. So where were you lifting at the time? Just like something like an LA Fitness,
just a 24-hour fitness.
Yeah.
Like I had been at Gold's for a while, but then that Gold's it was actually the Gold's in Woodinville. Kind of changed around and turned basically into a personal training studio. So then I switched to 24-hour fitness.
Right.
Never really got too excited about that. And I was like thinking like, okay, I can't be the only one who wishes there was other like types of places to train. So I was like,
and you mean kind of like more like a bodybuilding gym, basically?
Yeah, just something not. I didn't even like intend for it to be a bodybuilding gym. I just wanted something that was kind of unique. It had some character to it rather than just like a big sterile corporate box gym. Because at the time, 2018, 2019, like there was not really any other gyms around. It was like LA Fitness, 24-hour fitness. In Redmond, you had Eastside. And
Eastside.
That's been there forever. And like Ironworks has been there forever. But those were like so far away from where I was at the time, like kind of in that North End area. So I was like, well, let's give this a shot. I can't be the only one. And so I sold my house and
Yeah.
wrote a business plan,
And that's how it all started?
And off to the races we went, yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting because now Body Shop's like everybody's favorite gym. So it's like, so that's crazy. So just out of like wanting, I mean, basically it was something that you felt was lacking.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like you're like
was,
somebody needs to do something about this. So you're like, why shouldn't I just be that somebody, right? Like,
yeah, I felt like I had the skills to build a business plan that I thought there was a market for, and I mean, you never really know until you take a stab at it, right? So.
And what year was that when you first opened?
So, well, I started the whole process. When did I start the whole process? Like, I guess it was the idea kind of came to me in like 2017, and I looked for a location for like a full year because like that was, that was like pre-pandemic and everything at the height of the market. So there really wasn't a lot of real estate just available on the market. So I was struggling just to find any place that was available. And so I finally found a place, I think in like early 2018.
Right.
And signed a lease a couple months later after negotiating.
And so how did you find that place? That's where it is right now?
That's where it is now, yeah. And I actually, so I was working with a broker for that whole year. We were like going to place after place after place, and none of them worked out. And then I was just driving down Balthorville Highway one day, and I saw, it used to be Napa Auto Parts there right next to Fred Meyer. And there was like just this tiny little for lease sign in the window, and it wasn't on on the MLS or anything. Like it wasn't listed anywhere. So I was like, "What's?" Just kind of got lucky with like seeing the sign for that because it
wasn't even listed. You just kind of found it while you were driving around.
Yeah, just randomly found it. I think I might have gone to that Fred Meyer, and that's when I found it. I can't remember exactly, but yeah. And then I had my broker call the guy, and they're like, "Yeah, this place has been available for like a year." But I think that they screwed up and thought it was on the MLS, and it wasn't.
Oh, okay.
So I got lucky.
And when you saw the place, did you just kind of know like this is perfect, or?
Yeah, I mean, it was, location is everything with businesses.
Right.
And, it's in that, that on a perfect busy intersection and busy parking lot and all.
And it's got like plenty of parking and everything, because like you're right next to it. I mean, really, you could almost park in any of those spots. They're not going to notice.
No, they don't. And they don't care. Yeah, so it's the landlord's really cool, and
all the businesses kind of share those spots there.
Yeah. So when after talking to them and all that, somehow they decided I was worthy of signing a lease, so they let me take a stab at it, and
then here you are.
And that was like I think I signed in April of 2019, and then.
No idea that we were about to go through a global pandemic.
No, I would have planned that differently had I known that for sure.
I was just going to say that location is great unless you're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then what makes it not great about that? Like,
because there's so much foot traffic.
Because you know how like it's all windows along the front.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's awesome for people looking in and stuff. But during the pandemic, we were kind of having to fly under the radar a little
right,
more.
because people are like ready to tell on each other and all that stuff.
Oh, they were. We were getting phone calls about being open.
Yeah, I think there's still some Yelp
Everybody
reviews
turned into a hero during that time, it's so funny. But no, that's where, when I met you guys was during the pandemic, started going there working with Jordan. And I mean, that was like such a crazy time during the pandemic. It was like the only place that was open, I swear. Like,
well, and we were closed for the first 3 months.
Well, you had to be, right?
Yeah,
There was like,
when we were trying to figure out what the heck it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was the time when there was like no getting around it. It was just like everything was completely closed. So
yeah.
So Jeff, before that, you had just been kind of lifting on your own. Like you were just like a fan of lifting in general. Were you competing at all?
Yeah, I was.
You did all your competing pre-Bodyshop.
Yeah, I have not competed since I opened the gym.
Right, but you kind of knew what it entailed, so you wanted to create a space that would, or you didn't even think about it that way at the time, I suppose.
It was more like the idea that I had, like I knew that there would obviously be people there that like were interested in competing, and that's part of the territory. But the goal was just like a fitness lifestyle gym of like people who just like getting in and getting after it, whether they compete, whether they don't, powerlifting, bodybuilding, or just any other sport. Like just anybody who wants to go in and get after it was kind of the target demographic that I had in mind, because that's what I liked.
Right, and so it's probably like your own kind of style, just probably kind of like got into it naturally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're, I think that's what happens. Like it kind of comes from the ownership, like, but I suppose it also came out of, there's just something about corporate stuff that just doesn't have I don't know. It's just not the same as like, corporate gyms kind of suck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Kind
do.
of.
They really do.
Not everybody hates them. I think a lot of people like them, but
They've got their niche, they've got their place. But
Right.
like, people who like, it's a big part of their world. Like a corporate gym doesn't have the character, or even, I mean, to a certain extent, a lot of the equipment is unique, in more independent gyms. But then also just like the people that you're
feeling,
around, and that makes a
culture.
difference. If it's an important part of your life, and
yeah,
so,
the culture matters a lot, and
Yeah.
you guys have been able to make that culture there with like, it feels like a accepting, open place, but also like very serious. Like it's very hard to go there and not work really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're around a bunch of other people who work super hard, so it's like something of being around that just makes you brings you up. You know?
And that culture is something we like really focus on. Like if there's something that we feel like is setting that culture off, or something someone's not fitting in, like we want to protect what we've made. So
Yeah.
that's something.
Have
we
you ever had to
really
kick
need
anybody out then?
Yeah.
There's been a few. Yes.
Yeah, it's actually a surprisingly short list, but yeah, there's been a few.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But you got to really suck if we're kicking.
You gotta
you out,
really
like-
suck, yeah, because you guys are pretty open to like. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of different kinds.
Yeah, I mean, we like literally my whole philosophy from the beginning was like, I don't care if you're a pro bodybuilder or if you're someone who's stepping in the gym for the first time. Like, I
Yes.
want you to feel welcome there. But the thing I want to focus on is I just want you to try. Like, put
Yes.
forth effort. Like that's the thing that's kind of the foundation of the culture that we built there. It's just like,
Right. It's
it
hard
doesn't-
work, but
doesn't matter where you're at on your journey of like how advanced or beginner, whatever you are. It's just like, if you're willing to put in work and try, then like this is the place for you.
Yeah.
right.
You know?
Yeah. So you're not trying to scare away people from, beginners, because I think it is pretty open to people that have never. Like I see people that come in there, and hopefully the culture in there is like really accepting, and it seems to be.
Yeah.
But then it's like the minute they're in there, they start working hard because they're around other people that work
Well, and
hard.
I think initially when people come in, and like initially when we first started, we only had like a free day pass. You get to try it for free, which like a lot of gyms do. But people would come in and they were so intimidated just by like the looks of the people that were in there and things like
Yeah.
that. So we actually switched over to a 7-day free trial, because I was like, the hardest part is getting people past that front door.
Yeah.
And then once they're in there and they feel that vibe, they're sold. So,
Yeah, because a lot of times they're scared of like the big, they think everybody's going to be like a big, I mean, there's something about, they think bodybuilders are going to like, I don't know, be like narcissistic.
well,
I
and they
mean,
don't feel like
sometimes
they look
we
like
are,
that and they
but-
don't fit in.
Yeah.
So,
Right, or like, I'm not, how do I fit in with these people?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and that's definitely like understandable why, like that's kind of just the stereotype of big meaty people for sure.
Right.
But like it's the polar opposite once you actually step in the door and talk to people. Like
Big old teddy
everybody's a
bears.
bunch
that's
of
what I
teddy
mean. When
bears.
I hear people, like I've had, people say like they can't fit in there or whatever. It's only been like one person. I'll tell you off camera, but like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's you. It's like not anybody there.
It's all in
like,
your
it's
head,
totally you.
yeah.
It's in your head. Like you're just
Yeah.
like, I don't know. You're concocting all these stories in your head and like,
Yeah.
I don't know. He does that at every gym he goes to, but
Totally.
whatever.
I mean, 90% of my clients are middle-aged women that are just trying to live a happier, healthier life. And
Yeah.
initially, they're super intimidated, but then once they get in, they're like, "This is awesome!" Like it makes them want to work harder. And
Right. And once they meet how nice everybody
Yeah.
is, they're
Yeah.
not so scared anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, my mom trains there. She's
Yeah.
turned 70 this year.
So. Are you serious?
she works
Yeah,
out
she's a
there, yeah.
badass.
She's 70?
Yeah, she turned 70 in May.
Dang,
She's
dude.
got some good arms.
Yeah. You guys think you'll still be lifting at 70?
I hope so.
Hope so.
Wouldn't that be dope?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always think that. I'm like, I think we can hold it together till at least 70 or so.
And we'll only look like 50.
And hopefully only look like we're 50. Yeah, that's like the
Yeah.
goal for sure. Well, that's awesome. So, like, now, when you did open it, was the first year really tough?
Yeah, well, that's
Because the first year, then
Well,
the pandemic happened.
yeah, that was a nuanced question.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first year was actually 4 months because we opened. So I signed a lease in like early 2019, but we didn't get the doors open until like November. Just because that's kind of how long all this permitting and all that stuff takes with the city of Bothell.
Right.
So we opened November 16th, and we had to close down on March 16th.
Yeah, it was like to
so
the day.
so it was to the day, 4 months. So our first year was 4 months.
Holy
And so,
shit.
Like, I was like, typical new gym, just struggling to kind of get our name out there and get people to try to like come in the door and check it out. But it was moving along. It was hard, but it was moving along, kind of going in the right direction.
You had a good look. All the equipment was new.
Yeah.
Good location. So probably a great start. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, we're closing everything down.
Yeah.
So I guess that's when I would have started there. So
yeah, you were, as I recall, you were one of the first people to come back in after we opened up from the shutdown.
Right.
Did you learn about it from Jordan?
Yeah. So I was working at a place called Thirsty Hop, this bar, and Jay got hired as a cook there. Yeah. So like, Jay comes in and I'm like, oh, who is this dude? Like,
you look kind of big.
Yeah, and he's all big and stuff. And he's like, bro, you got to get a coat. Because I was like,
that's a good impersonation.
Yeah. Right. I was like, I had lifted and stuff my whole life since like probably 2002 or so, like high school. Did all the pro wrestling stuff, but now I'm like working in a bar, getting a little older, still trying to work out, but probably not where I want to be.
Yeah.
I had done a couple bands at the time, so I was like I said, still working out, but not really in shape. And then Jay comes in, he's like, bro, you got to get a coach and all this stuff. And like, and then like, and his coach was Jordan at the time. So I'm like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. And like, I was not feeling super great about my physique at the time. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then like the pandemic hit, we started getting all these like checks from the government. And I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to like go all in on this thing.
Put that money to use.
Yeah, instead of like wasting it, like try to invest it in something that would, help me in my future.
Totally.
So, and then lo and behold, so I started at the Body Shop.
Now you're here.
Now you're a regular every day.
Now I'm a regular.
I feel like a lot of people think that like we've known Kim and Jordan forever. We actually met them like through the pandemic.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, because it seems like you guys are just like been friends forever.
Well, we just like clicked really well.
Yeah, and they're just there all day, every day. Yeah,
we're with them all day, every day. So
literally training people all day there. Yeah. That's dope. Yeah. Well, okay, so 4 months open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think when we shut down, I'm trying to remember what the number was. I want to say it was like 250 or 300 members.
Yeah, it was about
something
that.
like that. So
we
like,
had this goal of 600.
Yeah,
because that meant we got a dog.
Yeah, my whole thing,
if you got 600, you were gonna get a dog.
Yeah, because I've been wanting a German Shepherd for years.
Oh yeah, years. So that's Yogi.
So that was Yogi.
Yeah. Yogi's dope.
So my goal was like from the start, like I built out my projections and all that, and it was like once I get to 600, that means that like I've got money for dog food and I can get a dog.
Right. So was that like the business side of it? Was that something that you always kind of knew, or you learned through school, or like?
No, I didn't know anything about business
until I
went to once I went to school and went into banking. That's when I learned it all. But like prior to that, like I was an Army guy before that, so I didn't know shit about business.
Okay, so how long did you serve in the Army?
You can swear.
Oh yeah, you can swear. It's we say a lot of fucks on here. Dude, people talk about crazy shit on here.
Yeah,
it's been. We took mushrooms on here. Fuck.
Oh, that's an adventure.
Yeah, it was crazy. Anyways, yeah.
So.
Well, and I come from the corporate side. I was still working my corporate job the first 2 years that we were open.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was probably kind of nice because you had that going at least.
Yeah, and I majored in business marketing, so I kind of handled the marketing side, and then he was all finances and operations.
So that sounds like a great team to have for opening a gym.
Yeah, it worked really
good.
Well.
And then we brought Dave on to kind of he took over the operations, and so now I'm the money guy and she's the marketing wizard, and Dave takes care of all the day-to-day crap that we don't want to.
Yeah,
and
dude,
if you don't know
good.
Jeff, social media and him, I don't know what he was planning to do on that front.
You're not a social media guy?
Oh,
no.
dude, I hate it. If you look on my Instagram, I haven't posted anything in over 2 years.
And the last thing he posted was a repost from the gym.
Right, I keep tagging you and stuff, but I know you're not seeing it.
I hate it so much.
There's part of me that hates it, and then part of me has just been like, okay, you just have to accept this.
If you use it in the right way, it's cool.
Like, it can be super positive.
With some dope-ass people because of social media, but like... I mean, that's how you talked to me the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That's...
Dropping in the DMs. Yeah.
That's
how a lot of people meet, honestly. Like,
yeah. But his whole social media uses dog videos. That's it.
Yeah.
No, that's a good quality, I think, because we all get so, like... into posting all the gym stuff, and it's kind of.
I live in that world, like for my business, because I have my own business outside the gym. But
I just look at it as a means to hopefully making money.
Yeah,
You know, I understand that it's cringy and stuff, but I just do it anyway.
I just don't scroll. I just stay in my own world. And
Right,
like,
I
my
won't
friends,
go on TikTok. I'll stay off TikTok.
I have not got into the TikTok.
It's funny because I remember hearing somebody who was like kind of blown up on social media, and I heard him, and he was actually at the body shop one time, and I heard him in the locker room talking about like, they're like,
Oh,
you know,
I wonder
don't
who
you?
it was.
It was that Jack West.
Oh
dude.
yeah. Now he
yeah.
lives in Vegas and is like on Jay Cutler's
Yeah,
YouTube.
the dude's doing great, but like I remember hearing him one time, like somebody was asking him like, you know, don't you get embarrassed to post, or don't you feel like weird about, you know, it's cringy and stuff? And he's like, yeah, I feel all that stuff. He's like, I just do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the key. It's like, we know it's gross, we know it's cringy, but it's like, it's a reality, and it's like, it's just, you try to make it as positive and good as you can.
Totally.
And then you feel sort of better about it, but also like just try to use it as a way to show people you're working hard. Like, of course you're going to feel weird. You're posting like selfies and weird. It's like weird. But after I heard him say that, I was like, okay, so like, you just have to kind of do it.
And it may feel weird to you, but like, you impact people without even knowing.
Right, especially like you guys doing shows and stuff,
Yeah.
like, you know, in bikini and all that stuff. Like, you're definitely, there's probably a lot of people looking up to you, whether you know it or not. And like you said, you are making an impact with it. But I totally get like not liking it at the same. If you can like find a way to live life and stay out of it, it's probably, you know, awesome. Like,
Totally.
we were talking about the whole, you know, it's just a dopamine kick. Like, but anyways, yeah. So Jeff, you were in the Army before that?
Yeah, I was in the Army, dude, for like 8 years.
8 years. What was that like?
It was a trip.
You never killed anybody?
I went.
Sorry. Like, what if you did and I just asked that? That's terrible.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I did a lot of stuff. I went a lot of places, and that was pretty cool. So, you know, I was kind of in at the height of all the chaos, so I got my fair share of it for sure.
Damn, dude. So. Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's a weird experience, but
yeah.
Well, thank you for your service.
Different life,
thanks, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it like prepared me for all this pretty well, because it's kind of.
So then, when something like the pandemic comes and you get this weird thing, you're probably like, okay, you know, like.
Yeah, it's like, well, you know, it's ambiguity, right? You don't know exactly what's going on. There's no plan for a pandemic, you know, and so like I guess my military experience, like, that's most of what war is just like, I don't know what's going on. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And,
right. I was like listening to this dude Jocko Willink. You guys know Jocko Willink?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure you do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that he's like some of the people that like being in the Army the best actually end up being like the worst when it comes down to like, because they're not creative types, they like structure.
Yeah.
And he's like, but the thing is, like, when war happens, like, it's actually those people that are like open-minded creative types that are able to kind of like go with the flow of shit.
Yeah.
So he was talking about the importance of that in the Army, and like, but at the same time saying like, if you are one of those type of people, you need to like create discipline, which, because to me, like, I think that's the best thing. Like, it's hard, but if you create it, your life gets so much better.
Yeah. The way I look at it is like, you know, it's okay not to know what's going to happen as long as you are disciplined in trying to build systems that allow you to navigate whatever gets thrown at you.
Right.
know?
So you actually have sort of a plan or contingency, or like you've maybe thought about it, like, what happens if this happens?
Yeah, like, you know, we've built roles like any company does. Like, you build roles of like who manages what piece, and like you just try to think of like.
And you need all parts.
You need all parts. You need management, operations, finance, marketing, all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. If you have all those bases covered and you have systems for all, like making sure all those run, then, you know, when curveballs get thrown at you, then you've got a team that's well situated to handle weird stuff that happens, like a pandemic.
And I think we have a good balance of that, because like we do kind of have to pull things just like out of our asses sometimes, but like,
oh yeah, I imagine
daily.
Yeah, like daily and weekly, but we have structure, but we also adapt. Like, we adapt very well.
That's what you need, structure, but the ability to think, like, change direction quickly, or like. So how did you guys meet Dave then?
I wish he was here to tell the story.
Dude, he'll never come on. I've tried.
He's
like, no one wants to hear me talk.
Yeah. He's like scared of what he'll say or something. I'm like, no, that's why it would be good. Because like,
he
I'm
has
like,
no
even,
filter.
Yeah, I'm like, even if you're talking shit, like talk shit. Even if it's like stuff I do, I want to hear it.
Just don't say names.
Yeah. Just like, you know.
Yeah, but the way Dave got a job was basically like, and I'm not really exaggerating this. Like, he pretty much came in, like he joined He actually joined pre-COVID.
Do you remember when I found his Instagram?
Yeah. And I
Oh,
thought
so
it was-
you didn't even know him before?
Well, no. So he comes in, and I'm like, who's this little like?
He's like a little hardcore, like.
Well, he was a little bit thicker. He was like, it was,
He was-
in the pandemic, and I'm like, who's this little meatball?
Yeah, because him and Camille both joined right before
And they
the
weren't
shutdown.
married yet.
Like right before the
Okay,
shutdown.
yeah.
And
And
then
Camille-
shut down, and then as soon as we literally as soon as we opened back up, they started coming
Yeah.
back in. And Dave, he came in. He's all thick, COVID thick, because he hasn't worked out in 2 months.
Right, so he's just
And
been chilling. And
so he's just this little tatted up meatball that comes
he
in.
hadn't been working out? That's
And
crazy.
well, actually, I guess he probably had
A
but
little bit
He was
at
definitely
home.
eating his
was
fair
eating his
COVID,
pancakes.
his COVID
Okay.
pancakes for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And so he started coming back in, and he was managing. I don't know if you know, like he used to manage the Anytime Fitness over in
Woodinville.
like kind of by Cottage Lake there, or like
Okay,
right
awesome.
outside of Woodinville.
So he had some experience.
He has a lot of gym experience.
Yeah,
That's
he-
all he's done his whole life.
Yeah, and so he,
Construction, too.
but he, he wanted a different, right? Like any gym owner or manager, you want to train at a gym that you don't work at,
Yeah.
right? So he started coming here
To
or
train.
just to work out, and then I guess the owner of that Anytime Fitness, he owned like 14 locations or something, just all up and down the West Coast, and he didn't want to do it anymore. So he was basically like kind of gave Dave like 6 months notice that he was going to close the gym. So Dave was just like, I work here now. And
He just kinda
and
told
then-
you that,
and
basically?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
he
like,
was
I'm
such a
gonna.
godsend.
He's like literally. He's like, I'm gonna come in every day, and I'm working here now. And
That's awesome.
And they did.
Yeah,
They
that-
like filled in for us at the desk for free.
Yeah, like Dave earned that position more than anybody else I think ever could, because he was like, he bent over,
Yeah, he works really
8
hard.
different ways
He
from
does.
Sunday to make sure like he was helping out. So yeah, he
he
started
gave us
out
our
like
first vacation.
yeah, we were so when he started, and I think the reason I finally caved was because at the time it was just us, and it was
Right.
at the height of the pandemic, which I'm sure you remember.
So you're like, do I
wanted-
need to? Can I afford to add somebody else? But God, I wish we had
Yeah.
more help around here.
Well,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it was just us, but I was still at my corporate job.
She was still working at Precor, so most
you're
of the
there
time it
most
was
of the
just
time.
me.
Yeah.
And it was like at the height of the pandemic, when it was there'd be 100 people in there, and it'd just be like elbow to elbow, because it was just you remember how chaotic it was.
It was
just
crazy.
so insane. So trying to just be one person managing that, I think my hair was starting to fall out. And Dave was like, "Dude, like let me help." And I was
Burning
like,
the
So like
candles.
during
I was like,
that
"All right,
time, were you even able to like lift yourself? Or,
No,
like,
dude.
Like
No. "No,
You could barely work out yourself,
Yeah.
I imagine.
No, I've ever since opening a gym, I'm sure probably most gym owners will say something similar, that like as soon as you open a gym, you'll start lifting less than you ever have."
Yeah,
So-
dude. I think entrepreneurship is like, man, I'm just getting into it a little bit. It's like crazy.
Yeah,
You
it's-
don't not. Like,
Everything's on you.
I'm
There's
such a
no-
workaholic. It's so hard to shut it off.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I
It's
love
Good,
working.
but then it's bad because you burn yourself out.
It's so much stress.
It's a balance you gotta get.
I can't remember, like, I was, like, texting my mom the other day, and I was just, like, an asshole to her. I'm like, what the fuck did I do that? I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's
I
because
was
you're
like,
just
because I'm
exhausted.
stressed, because I'm,
Yeah.
like, nothing but work, you know? And I'm like, sorry, Mom, I didn't,
Yeah.
I'm like, I just need a little support here from you. Come on, like,
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
but, yeah, anyways, yeah, it's, entrepreneurs, and I've been meeting more and more of them. It's tough. Like,
It's tough, but it's also like more
So
rewarding
rewarding,
than
yeah.
like I
that's the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
yeah, like I wake up every day and I get to go, like my boss is the customers, and that's like the best place to be.
Yeah.
I don't have someone calling the shots over me, and just
You're
get-
not working for some franchise or corporate
Yeah.
entity that's telling you have to do things this way or this way. It's-
Yeah.
Totally.
You're
Like,
beholden to your customers, basically.
my job is to try to add value to people's lives every day, and like that's way better than crunching spreadsheets for
And
whatever,
now, so
you know.
Jeff, has fitness always
So-
been kind of a big passion of yours?
Yeah, in various ways. I actually didn't start lifting, like seriously lifting, until I got out of the Army.
Right.
And like I actually started lifting. I've got like some injuries and stuff that I just wanted to start like building muscle around, because
Right, to try to get 'em better.
Try to get them
Have you seen
stronger.
how tiny
and,
he was in the army?
yeah, I was like,
Just a little dude?
I was like when I got out of the Army, I think I was like $160. Something
Like,
Oh,
so
damn.
small.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now you're huge compared to that now.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
God, don't make his head too big.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, so I started lifting when I got out, I mean, I lifted when I was in the Army, but not, I wasn't, that focused on it.
And
But
how long before you started getting into shows?
So when did I do my first show? So I got out in like 2012,
Right.
and I did my first show in 2017.
17.
Yeah, 2017.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that doesn't even seem that long ago, but it's like 2012 is like 10 years.
that's 10 years ago. Yeah,
That's crazy.
that's wild. Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, but so did you gain weight quite a bit before the show then, or like when you started lifting?
Yeah, I think like when I was
So
at the
30s, you started putting on muscle more, like.
yeah, like late 20s.
Yeah.
Early 30s is when I really started to like pack it on. I think when I started my cut for my first show that I ever did, I still wasn't big. I was a men's physique competitor, so I think I probably did weighed like maybe like a, I don't know, 190 or 185, something like that.
Yeah, so slow process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, to me that was way bigger than I was. So I was pretty stoked. I was like, hell yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like 190, yeah. But
Yeah, that probably felt pretty big at the time. Huh? Damn.
So-
Okay, so that's cool. So it's always been kind of like. So how did that transition into like the wanting to start a gym thing? It was just because you were, like you said earlier, like you just didn't
Well, like
have a spot to go, or like.
basically, yeah. So
And were you really into it at the time you made that decision, lifting?
super into it, yeah.
So that's what it was. And then you
Yeah.
had no idea that like a few years later you'd be like, I can never lift because I'm just basically
Yeah.
running this business. Like you
Yeah.
think it's going to be one thing. And
Well,
then you,
yeah, like you hear people, on podcasts or YouTube videos, talk about how like your training is going to suffer if you open up a gym or whatever, and you're like, yeah, well, if I do it, I'm going to focus on it, and
you're like, oh.
I'm like, oh, they weren't kidding.
yeah, because the business takes
yeah.
the priority. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like it's so rewarding, and like I'm in it so much, I don't mind that much. I mean, I do
Right.
like I do.
When you guys are
wish that
still
I could
hitting
train
it pretty hard. I mean,
yeah, I still train, but it's not like it's not like show mindset. But I'm
Right.
okay with it too, because I also I love what I do. I get to come to work every day and
Well,
love
thankfully
it,
for
so.
me, he's taken the brunt of that.
So you
I've
can
been
still
able to
focus.
still focus on my shows.
because you're still very in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. So Danielle, then how did you get involved with? When did you start doing shows?
So we actually did our first show, I think the same weekend we figured out our very first shows, but it wasn't the same show.
Right.
So I was a track athlete all through college, and I showed horses and I did pageants. And so when I graduated college, I was kind of like, what do I do with my life now?
Because you already had this you were so used to performing.
Regimen, yeah. And with horses, it's very similar to bodybuilding. You have to be, and track too, you have practice multiple times a week, you're gone on the weekends, you're traveling, you're performing, you're very much in a regimented routine. And so when I got out of college, I was kind of like, man, what do I do with my life? And I got into my party days, so my physique had taken a bit of a hit.
Yeah,
And
like all of us.
yeah, so I started focusing a little more on weightlifting and kind of just educating myself. I found Lane Norton and all of that, and learned
I
about,
love Lane Norton. That
and
dude's
learned
the
about
shit.
macros and all of that. And so I started doing it myself, and I started seeing my physique change, and I was like, this is pretty sick. And so I wanted to learn more, and then I got my personal training certification,
Right.
and I was still working in the corporate world, and I actually started working at Precor, which is the fitness manufacturer. So I was still in the fitness industry, but I was very much just doing marketing and stuff like that. But I was feeling so good and seeing such good changes in myself, I wanted to be able to pass that on to other people. So I got certified, and I started working with people on the side, and then once I kind of felt like I hit my plateau on my own, I kind of started looking, and that's when Instagram started coming up a little bit more. And I started seeing whenever I used to think of bodybuilding, I just thought of big, massive
Huge
people.
dudes, yeah.
But then I started seeing these bikini girls. I'm like, ooh, what's this? This is basically a muscle pageant. I think I could do this.
Also, even before, if you saw women, it was they were all big.
That's just what I had in my head.
Right, that's what you had in your head. So then it changed when you saw bikini.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the first bikini athlete I saw and started really following, and she doesn't really compete anymore, but her name was Emily Hayden. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
Okay, no, but
So she had a coach, and I was like, well, if he's a good coach for her, then he must be a good coach. And so I didn't do I advise everyone to do now, but I didn't really research. I just was like, I want to work with him. So I signed up and started working with him. And thank God he was not a shit coach. He was actually an awesome coach. And
so you
now
just took a chance, and it was your first coach ended up being good.
And he's good. And now he's like one of the biggest bikini coaches out there. His name's Paul Ravella with Team Pro Physique. And I worked with him for about 6 years. And just this last year, I switched over to Jen Dory.
Yep.
Who is, she took second this year at the Olympia, but she won the Olympia and the Arnold last year.
Okay, yeah.
So now I've
she's
done.
Legit.
Yeah. So I did my
Pretty
first show
legit,
with Paul, and it just kind of was an addiction from there, and now I've done about 11.
Yeah, you just can't stop.
Yeah.
No,
it
becomes like
better.
a way of life for sure.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So then when you started with Jeff, you were like, were you just training out of the gym, or you were part of the business the whole time, right?
So, actually, Jeff and I met before Bodyshop was like even a thing.
Right.
We met back in 2018, and he was already working on his business plan.
Yes.
And so I knew about it, and then him and I kind of went our separate ways, and then my roommate at the time was like, hey, did you see that Jeff's opening up Bodyshop up in Thrasher's Corner? Because we were living in Mill Creek. And I was like, no, he's opening it in Woodinville, because last I had seen him, he was looking at a place in Woodinville, and he had actually
So
taken
you were still looking for places at the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, wow. And she showed me the Instagram and stuff, and I was like, oh, wow, it looks awesome. And so if anybody knows Jeff, he is the worst texter in the world, doesn't respond to text, nothing. And I was like, I'll just shoot him a text and say congratulations, because I know he'd been working at this point, it'd been over a year. And so I sent him a text, and I was like, hey, just wanted to say congratulations. I saw you got your equipment in. It looks great. And miraculously, he texted me back, and he had me come in and just get a feel for the gym. He's like, I'm trying to get people in here, get feedback. Mm-hmm. And so I went in there and I lifted, and it just kind of worked itself out from there.
Yep. And then you had all that marketing experience too.
I was basically give me your Instagram login and your Facebook login, and
because you knew he wasn't gonna do it. Yeah. That's so funny. That's my wrestling promoter's that way too. He runs Impact Pro Wrestling, but he doesn't ever promote it on. I don't know. He's good at promoting, but I don't know. He doesn't do a lot of that social media stuff. So.
Well, and he's so humble, too. He's not going to brag about what he has. And I'm like, you have to. You have to put it out there in front of people. Show them how cool this place is.
It kind of feels gross bragging, huh?
Yeah, I pay her to do it for me.
Well, now you pay me. Yeah.
Right, because it's just a necessity, right? We'll go back to the pandemic. So after those first 4 months, pandemic hits, how hard was that period of time? Were you guys kind of freaking out, or did you always think we'll make it through this?
No, freaking out was a pretty.
We definitely did not always think we were gonna make it through. I mean, I try to stay pretty positive.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can't even operate, how do you stay open?
Well,
so that actually became a pretty easy decision because we were so new. The shutdown happened, and they were like, "Yep, nope, gym's you guys are we'll kill you if you open," and they were basically threat of death on us, and that's kind of who they went hardest at was gyms,
which is so weird,
just real weird. And so we kind of obviously nobody in the beginning really knew what was going on, so we closed up shop for it was 60 days or something. I don't remember exactly,
but
we
closed in March, and I think we reopened in June.
Yeah,
right.
And the reason we reopened is because it got to the point it was either we reopen or go out of business. So they made the decision pretty easy because I wasn't just gonna roll over and no, I'm good. So we opened doors and started off just word of mouth. The few people that we knew that would be interested in coming back was hey, yeah, you can bring some people if you want to, and then within a couple days it exploded
because that was how it was. If you were with a trainer, you could basically work.
We were all these people are with personal trainers.
We got pretty creative with the rules and how we justified it, and I definitely got fined, so definitely our creative rules didn't work,
But we didn't get fined until the very end.
They waited till the end to fine us, I think, just to try to maximize their revenue or whatever they were
I'm
doing.
sure, dude. What was that I remember Bradley Martin's gym. He went through all that stuff with
yeah.
I'm pretty sure he had a generator for a while because they shut off his power and
Ours never got that bad. We had Elle and I came in mid-pandemic. But that was before we actually had employees. It was just Jeff, and I wasn't getting paid, so there was nothing on me as an employee.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they basically were like, we don't have any jurisdiction here, and they just left.
Yeah.
And it also like depended on which L&I person you got, because I remember the first time that they came in, like,
They were pretty cool.
well, actually, yeah, she's right. The first time because they came in like 3 times, and the first time we didn't have any employees, they're like, well, I guess we'll be taken off then, because they don't. If
There's
you know,
nothing
if
they
you
can
don't have any
really-
employees, then they don't have any jurisdiction. And then the second time
They met Dave.
they met Dave, that didn't go well.
I can't imagine.
But then they set up a meeting with me after that, and then came in and talked to me, and I was like, I just told them straight up, like, I was like, you know, like, I can't shut down. They, you know, and they were pretty sympathetic to that. They were like, we get it, you know, like
Right.
on a personal level, they were like, we get it. Like, they were business owners.
They didn't
too.
know what to do either.
Yeah, they were like, you know, like their policy told them what to do, but they were like, we can't just like.
Just like bars too. It was
Yeah,
really
it's the
similar.
same-
It's like
the
they
same
didn't
kinda
they didn't know
thing,
what
yeah.
to do. A lot of them had to transition to like, you know, to go only stuff. But it's like, well, I mean, if you're a gym, you can't really. You can't make something to go.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah.
not-
Yeah.
Unless you can have people there training. There's
Yeah.
not. I think some places did like online, like training
Yeah,
and stuff.
but like
It's
our
but, like,
culture, just like it doesn't like the
we
heavy
don't even have
hitters we
trainers.
have.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I mean. There's really nothing you can
and like
do.
the people that work at a body shop, they're not gonna be cool with like bands and like step ups
from
at home.
home. No,
Yeah.
they're doing heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the online training thing doesn't work because like all our trainers just pay rent. So
Oh, that's all right. Yeah.
you know, so they pay rent, so they're not gonna like pay me rent to online train someone. You know, like that doesn't
No,
work. That's
no.
just kind of ridiculous. So yeah, so we just kind of managed it as best we could, and you know,
Then it started slowly getting better, I imagine.
Well, and
yeah, it kind of ebbed and flowed for a while because it went on so long.
It did. It
like
really
we
they-
kept saying that won't happen.
Yeah,
that
it-
won't happen, and then it would happen.
Yeah, every time we turn around and we're like, oh, it can't get any worse than this, and then it did get
Right.
worse.
So
we're
we
like,
quit
all right,
saying
we
that.
quit saying that.
Well, I remember one
And
time
then-
like we'd get open back up at the bar, and then it was like, nope, back off for like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then it's
Yeah.
like, and then it was like, okay, we're done with masks. Oh no, masks are
Yeah,
back.
Yeah.
that was
It
the
like-
hardest part. Was like it kept opening and shutting, and it's like
Yeah,
for a while we're just like, fuck it.
yeah, we didn't. Yeah, it's like we got to just get back to normal at some point,
Yeah.
right? Like you
Yeah.
just gotta. No, that was crazy. I'm glad you guys made it through that. So,
Yeah, that was wild. It was like it felt like for a long time it felt like I was operating a black market gym.
Well, we kind of were.
Like, I mean, I guess we kind of were, but it was like, you know, straight out of like 1920s, like
Almost like a
prohibition,
speakeasy.
Come in the
stuff.
back door.
Yeah, like
knock
like
5 times.
playing whatever silly games we
It
had.
is a
to.
lot like prohibition if you think about it. Like
Yeah.
they make something illegal, and then but the people,
Illegal.
right? But the people are like not gonna
Yeah.
have it, you
You know,
know. So it's
like-
like, I think that's like how NASCAR started, was like prohibition.
Yeah,
you know?
bootleggers. Yeah,
bootleggers, so-
yeah.
Yeah, there's just certain things where if you like tell the population you can't do it, they're just gonna be like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And alcohol's one of those, and I think like working out is one of those things.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so then, you know, eventually you got through all that stuff, and then like, how do you guys think you got like such a culture there of like, you know, hardcore? Like a lot of people are in competitions, a lot of people are very serious. Like, what do you think played into that kind of becoming the culture at Body Shop? I mean, obviously, like you said, you have a lot of like regular people too, but it's definitely known for like a competitor's gym.
Well, I think naturally, just because Jeff and I were the main people like promoting it in the beginning, and we both come from a competitive background. The people
Right.
we were bringing in at first were naturally competitors, and
Yes.
that's kind of what my network is. So like the people, because I've tried to do like seminars, and we try to do things like that to kind of give back to the community. So the people we were networking with were from that community, and so
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how it came about.
Yeah, I think it was just like it just kind of snowballed. Like, you know, the pandemic probably helped in that regard.
sense, yeah.
Because that's, you know, the people, the competitors, you know, they all know each other. Everybody's
Like, we
friends
need
with
a place
other
to go.
competitors.
Yeah.
So once word got out that we were a friendly place for that kind of thing, it just kind of snowballed, and we never did anything to try to build
It
a
just
competitive
happened.
culture. It just
Yeah.
happened by word of mouth, and it kind of became that.
Right.
Because that was definitely not what I was trying to build.
No,
You know,
you just
when
were
I
trying to start a
opened.
gym.
Yeah, I just wanted to build a cool gym, like a place that I would want to work at.
Well, and like you said, like people just in that culture, we're all disciplined, but we all know where each other has come from as far as like work ethic and stuff. So they're just good people, and I think that just built that family feel.
Right, and good people attract other good people, and then
Yeah.
hard workers attract other hard workers.
And you're coming in there every day, you're seeing the same people, you're getting to know people, and so it just kind of
weeds out the people that aren't going to take it serious.
exactly.
Yeah.
And like if people don't like the vibe, then like obviously we're not going to be the gym for everyone.
Right. I
So-
suppose even with the dog thing, like there's probably some people that don't.
Well, there's
like
some
dogs.
people that join just because of the dogs.
Right.
Like,
I was gonna say like
I don't know if you know, like Marks and Diane used to be afraid. He was just talking about this the other day. Like he used to be deathly afraid of dogs.
Are you
Before he
serious?
started working at Bodyshop, and now he doesn't. They're not his favorite thing, but he's not
Yeah,
scared
but
of
he's
them
like
anymore.
used to them. That's so
Yeah.
funny. Like
Yeah.
I had no idea. So like the bar I work at, they allow dogs in too because it's a brewery.
Oh,
So they
love
don't
it.
have they don't have a kitchen. So there's no like rule about that. So like, yeah. So it's a dog. I think dogs are great to have.
Oh
like,
yeah,
And I think the people in this area, like that's probably a really good selling point actually.
yeah. I mean, there are people. We definitely have gotten complaints from people, but like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'd
On the
rather
whole,
have the
though,
dog than you.
Yeah, with like we get way more positive
Yeah,
feedback
for sure.
than negative from it.
Yeah, and most
you know,
people have their dog well behaved, and
Well,
if
that's
they're
kind
not,
of a rule. Like
Yeah.
we definitely like you asked if we've had to kick people out. We've had to kick dogs out too.
Yeah, there's
because
definitely like a screening.
like
process.
your dog is a problem. You
Yeah.
can't bring.
That's
him
why
in.
we don't bring ours. Ours is obnoxious.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was getting a little out of control
Yeah.
for a while. Wasn't he? He was
Yeah.
like, he just kept getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
and he's
like-
not a small dog, so
He's a 100-pound dog that thinks he's still a puppy, and
I know he would just chase those freaking bowls, like those
Still
metal
does.
bowls,
Yeah, he
like
still does it.
crazy.
still does.
And it's like, bro,
Yeah.
calm down. But that's like just his thing.
He'll do
I
it for
guess.
hours.
Yeah, nah, he's a good dog. But yeah,
He's a
you
good boy,
can't. Most of the dogs in there are all super well behaved.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I even brought my friend's dog there once, but she was kind of like that too. Like, I only brought her like I think once or twice because like
What kind of dog was she? I don't know.
I was an Aussie, Sydney.
Oh yeah, I remember you bringing.
Yeah,
Sydney in,
she's.
yeah.
I mean, like Karen that goes there, she like fell in love with her because
Oh,
she's such a
Karen.
sweet dog. But that was my problem. She's so friendly. She would go up to everybody and
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't have you in here. Like, I can't concentrate on my lift because you're just
Totally.
like,
Yeah, that's why we don't bring Yogi half the time too, because we have to watch him all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, yeah, it's for me personally. I'd rather just not bring the dog because
Yeah.
it's too much of a headache. But
Yeah.
people love her. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So no, but I think that's definitely a selling point in this area for sure.
Totally. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, let's see. What are some of the plans for the business in the future then?
That's I don't know. Loaded question.
We've got lots
kinda
of ideas.
I
Yeah.
mean, stuff's already changed
Yeah.
there. Like, for
Yeah.
the better. Like, even the new setup, how you guys move stuff around. I think
I
that
give
actually.
Dave credit for that. We actually Jeff didn't know we did that. He was in
Yeah.
Arizona when we did that.
I think it definitely adds to the flow for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah, I think it works better for sure.
We're getting to the
and-
point though where like there's only so much we can do in that little space.
You
Yeah.
want to get a new space someday, huh?
I do want to get it. Yeah, I wish I had like 1,500, maybe 2,000 more square feet.
Right, but then it's like, how do you almost want a similar location so the
Like,
same
can we
people.
just buy out the massage parlor next door?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could like stay but add on.
They
that'd be
already
the
hate
best.
us.
Yeah.
It's tough with businesses, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
if your neighbor and you don't get along, like,
Well, they just don't. Well, they're a massage place, so obviously they're trying to let people relax, and like
you can hear
those walls are
everything
not
next
thick.
door. I
oh,
don't
so
know,
they're
have you
hearing
ever been in there?
they're hearing the weights and they're hearing the,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can hear laughs, you can hear people talking in the office. Like we feel bad, but like there's nothing we
Yeah,
can
what are you
really
gonna
do
do?
about it.
Yeah.
Like
they're trying to create this calming atmosphere and
yeah,
stuff.
or
and,
whatever they.
I only
do
feel
over
so
there.
bad though because they're not a real business. They're definitely just laundering money for the triads or something.
something like that.
They're
Yeah,
also
like-
open till like midnight.
Yeah,
that's
there's
hilarious.
like 6 customers that actually go there, and like
Dude, probably. There's a lot of businesses like that.
Kim
Yeah.
and I tried, and it was not. I would not give that massage a 10.
Right. There's probably better massage.
Yeah, Kirsten.
I was gonna say that's who I was
Shameless
thinking
plug.
of. Yeah. And she does a lot of the bodybuilders and stuff.
Oh,
does,
right?
yeah.
I think
she's
her
like-
90% of her clientele now comes from Body Shop.
yeah, she's like all bodybuilders now, which is she's like the go-to for
Right.
people that like need a painful massage.
Someday when I'm rich or famous, I'll probably start doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck
Get
trying
all
to get
that.
into her now.
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably impossible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she's always booked like 2 or 3 weeks out.
Oh, that's good. That's good for her.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
So
But yeah, so let's see. Now, do you guys, Jeff? You're kind of done competing, right?
I get asked that all the time. Yeah, I mean, I'd like to do it again, but I got to get to a point where I can step away enough from the business to be able to like.
Do you think you'll ever be able to do that? Like, we have enough
I'm a lot
employees?
closer to it now than I was, through the pandemic and all
Right.
that.
Do you actually get
so-
some time off now? You get to relax a little more?
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably never totally relaxed when you own a business.
A lot
'cause-
of
No,
it is
yeah. I
up
mean,
here
there's
for him.
it's always in your brain, but like I definitely am able to
release the
like-
reins a little bit
Yeah.
to like
Yeah,
Dave, other
let Dave-
people that are
yeah. Like I took my first like real week off over Christmas, and just kind of let Dave run the show and wasn't around at all, and the place didn't burn down. So it's like getting close. It's at least on the table now. Where
It's
it
like
wasn't
letting
before.
someone watch your baby,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He just came back and it looked completely different. It didn't burn down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I'd like to compete again.
Who knows?
I always tell people like when they ask like, maybe this fall or whatever like the furthest away season is this
He's
year.
been
Yeah.
saying that for
But
20
I've been
years.
saying that for
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 years, so we'll see.
I get it, because like with pro wrestling, everyone's like, "Were you ever gonna?" I'm like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But you never want to
Never
totally
say
let
never.
go.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe.
Maybe, yeah. I'm officially masters now, so I got that.
So you could do it. Yeah.
Don't say now. You've been officially masters for a few years.
Well,
What does that even mean? I'm so
35.
like.
means you're over 35, so you can do it's the old guy category.
So I'd be in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got just one more option of who you want to compete against.
Okay. Yeah. So we're like the old guys league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
That's
fact
okay.
that Masters is 35 is kind of depressing, though.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it, but no, I feel like, and you guys are both in your 30s, right?
Yeah, I'm 34.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I feel like 30s are actually way better than.
Oh, hell yeah.
The
Like,
20s?
Yeah,
100%.
I feel like it's like kind of the best time actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just getting to my prime.
Right, and
Yeah.
it makes you feel a little better about the 40s too. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like, okay.
Well, I always tell people like my favorite thing about the 30s is like you can use it as an excuse to get out of stuff. Like,
I can't go out and party.
Like, yeah, like there's a party happening. Sorry, I can't. I'm 37. Like,
It's
and,
just
like,
like-
nobody bats an eye. If you do that when you're like 21, people are
Bro,
like, "What
what's
are you
wrong
talking
with you?
about?" But like you do that when you're in your mid to late 30s,
Like, I
people
get
are
it.
just like, "Yeah, I totally get that. That makes sense."
So now, do either you guys party a lot or no?
No, I got that out of my system
all-
in college.
No,
Right.
I'm a
Yeah.
fuddy dud, man.
Jeff
gonna
calls
say, you
those
guys-
my woo girl days.
Even drink or anything?
No, I haven't drank in like 4 years.
Right. Yeah, I barely do either.
I think honestly the last time I drank was probably when we drank after USA's.
Oh yeah,
Right, so
that
it's
was
just
like
not a
one
big
glass
thing.
of wine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was not anything exciting. Yeah.
Right.
It's just I don't know. We spend so much time at the gym, and like the older I get, I've never been a big drinker like
Yeah.
in my entire life. So like, and like the older I get, it like I'm such a lightweight. It takes me 3 days to recover from like
Yeah,
not
it's the
very
day
much.
after.
So I'm
Yeah.
just like,
It's like,
I'm
what's
not
the
really,
point?
I'm not really interested in that. You know.
When you're so focused on being healthy, it's like, what is the
Yeah.
point? You know?
Totally. Like for
Yeah.
me, I'm like so focused on my competing career right
For
now.
you, it'd
like
be
it doesn't.
stupid to
Yeah,
even
it
drink.
doesn't
Yeah.
serve me any good purpose whatsoever.
Yeah, so Danielle, you're still really in it with the competing, right?
Yeah.
So, how do you kind of try to balance that coaching and then working with the gym too?
Oh man, I mean, it all comes down to like time and organization, like time blocking my day, and because like this last prep, I think it was, I don't want to say the easiest to balance it all, but the fact that I was fully at the gym and I had been able to step away from my corporate job
Yeah.
took a lot of stress off of it. It's because I kind of like make my own schedule.
So at
this
the corporate
point.
job, were you like 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
and then the gym, and
Yeah.
then training, and then coaching?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
a lot.
one blessing of COVID was I turned completely remote.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was nice. I could work at the gym and be able to be there and help him with the desk and things like that. But so I competed at nationals in 2018, and then I actually took 3 years completely off because I went through some health struggles.
Right.
And so in 2020, I thought I was going to prep again, and then it like
Pandemic.
everything kept getting canceled, and so it actually was like a blessing in disguise because I kind of was able to like recomp my body really well because I would diet and then the show would get canceled and then we'd like reverse diet and then I'd try again.
Yeah.
So we tried to prep like 2 or 3 times in 2020 and then we just finally pulled the plug, and so I finally was able to get back on stage in 2021, and then So that prep, I was still working at the corporate job. And so it was a lot. Like I'd wake up and thankfully I worked for a fitness company. So they were like very supportive. I could like go do my cardio on my lunch break.
Yeah.
And then I lived at the gym otherwise. So I could get all my training in. And I didn't have clients at that time. It was only online. But now I basically make my own schedule. So like I take my mornings, like I usually have my mornings pretty open to myself. So like I can get my cardio in. I have my treadmill at home, so that makes it really nice.
Nice to get that cardio done.
Yeah, and then I'll take some clients in the late mornings, mid-afternoons, and then I work the desk, and thankfully my boss is pretty flexible, and he lets me train when I'm working the desk. So I get my training in the afternoon, and then I take more clients in the evening. So
How many
I'm
clients a
going
day do you
nonstop.
have usually?
I'd say 4 to 5 is like a full load
good-
during the day, but then I also have online clients too. So
Yeah. How do you do that? You do that like just like do their meal plans like once a week
so
or something? Or
I
just
have the
kinda...
Trainerize app, so I have all of them in there, and
Yeah.
then so I do all of their training, and it depends what they want. I have like options of if you want to be fully online, then I just do all of your programming. It's in the app,
Yep.
and I do your meal plans. You check in once a week, very similar to probably what you do with Jordan and Kim. And like if you
Right.
need adjustments, I'll adjust. And then if I do packages too, if you want to do online but also in-person training, you get a bit of a discount. So like if you want to train twice a week, it's this price. If you want to train once a week, it's this price.
I got you.
And so they'll still do the check-ins, but then they have like set slots on my schedule.
And so that's when they actually have a workout from you too that they
Yep, and
do
like
that,
even
yeah.
if they're just online, I do the programming too. They just have to follow it in the app. I'm just not there in person.
Right, so you kind of get an idea of like what their workout was like and stuff. That's got to be kind of hard training online, but it's like it seems like a really big thing now.
It is really big, but I'm thankfully I'd say about 80% of my clients are at Bodyshop, even if they are just online. So like if I see them working out, I can go up and make like little tweaks.
Yeah, you kind of keep an eye on them.
But I'm also really big on like, hey, send me video feedback. Like in their workout instructions, I'm like, if you are not feeling this here, please send me. And I
Right.
have lifts that like I will make them when we first start. Like big lifts that I see a lot of people make mistakes on, like hip thrusts,
Right.
RDLs, anything rear delt. I'll make them send me videos so I make sure that they're like contracting the right things.
Yeah,
and
that
not
they're
using
on
the
point
wrong
with their
muscles.
form and everything.
Just because I see so many similarities with women, especially like desk workers,
Right.
of like really big imbalances.
Oh yeah, is that a big thing with like everything being, sitting jobs now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, their glutes don't activate properly. They've got the hunched shoulders, so their rear delts are really inactive. Their pecs are really tight.
Right.
And they start focusing on building up the strength in their glutes and their core and their rear delts, and they notice they just like stand a little
posture
bit
starts
taller
getting
and their
better
posture
and-
improves. And they just start feeling better.
Now for bikini, what are the biggest areas like you got to bring out? Usually is it like glutes, rear delts, back kind
Also,
of?
the biggest thing with bikini is balance. Like you got to create balance everywhere.
So it might depend on the person.
Yeah, there should not be something that like you look at that physique and you're like, damn, she's got a nice ass. Like it should be like, oh damn, she just looks like
Balance.
good.
Yeah. So
So,
you don't
like-
want to overdo one part. Or anything.
Exactly. So for me, I've always had a lot of upper body density. Like my
Mm-hmm.
upper body's always been really big. So my biggest thing has been building up my glutes to match my upper body and then just maintaining my upper body.
Right.
So it really just depends on the person.
Okay. Yeah. So specific to the person, what parts you have to bring out, what parts you don't. So.
Yeah.
And how long have you been training, coaching people?
So I got certified in 2016.
Okay, so you've been at it for a while. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I was doing it just like on the side for a really long time, but
Mm-hmm.
like thankfully like watching Jeff like really follow his passion and go
Yeah.
after what he wants, like selling his house for it, that really inspired me, and he's given me the platform to be able to build it.
Yes.
So I lucked out there for sure.
Yeah, so that's crazy, Jeff. You decided to sell your house to start. So like,
Yeah.
you just must have believed in yourself enough, huh? Like,
Well, I mean, I didn't.
He
Yeah.
says he's too stupid not to.
Right.
His
Well,
thing.
I mean, it's
have you
true.
just always been kind of an ambitious dude that way? Like,
I'm not one to shy away from risk if I think the reward is worth it.
right. So it's
Right,
not like you're
so-
just risky for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like
And
risky, but for a reason. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like I kind of I thought about it for a while to make sure I was like not just some bored gym bro who had like a
Like, oh, I'll start a gym.
start a gym. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I kind of like I thought about it. I kind of did a lot of analysis and like to make sure that I was
You put the plan together.
Yeah, make sure I wasn't doing something stupid, and then the risk was sell my house and just see what happens. And
So is that like it's like you have a plan, but is it still kind of like flying by the seat of your pants in a way? Like
for sure, because you make your plan. Like I had a whole detailed huge business plan that I wrote up, and
and
basically
I'm sure COVID was not
as soon as you start,
No.
you throw that.
no, I'm sure it wasn't.
Yeah, so step one, you got to do that, and then step 2 through 300 or nothing was even remotely.
Like
close
it's
to what
like
the business
you
plan
start
was,
with
right?
something and then it all changes
Yeah.
as you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, you gotta start with somewhere to know where you're going, and then if it changes on the fly, no big deal. But
yeah.
so selling my house wasn't that big a deal to me. I don't know. I didn't.
Well, it's a house. You can always get a different one.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So it was.
Well, and it's funny because I don't know how many times we've heard like, "Oh, bro, you're living my dream life. Like, I want to own a gym. You've got the coolest job. I mean, you basically just get a free gym membership." And I'm like, you don't even know what he goes through. Like, he's got the most expensive gym membership there is.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like even I give props to anybody like yourself who's like a coach but still killing it themselves.
Yeah. It's a
Like
lot.
even like Jordan and Kimberly too. Like it's like a lot of times with like with the business, you become a coach. Like how do you put any time in yourself anymore?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even like Mark, he's like got so many clients. It's like how do you even have time to like?
It's hard, but it's just like you said, just gotta have discipline.
You have to lead by example too.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got to be willing to make the sacrifices too. Like like Mark, he was literally training clients at the gym till like 11 o'clock last night.
That man doesn't sleep.
He's so like there's truth to that. Like if you want to make something successful, like it literally is just putting in the time, and like no matter what you do, like it's gonna eat up your entire life if you want to be successful.
Right. He really doesn't sleep because like there's times where I'll be like, I work in a bar, so I'll be up a little bit later, and all of a sudden he'll text at like, and I'm like, why are you still up, bro? Like, I mean, I get why I am. I just got off work, and like it's like 11:30. I just got home, but like, I don't know. Yeah, I think sometimes he just doesn't sleep, and then he's pretty prolific with his like Instagram live things.
Oh yeah.
Which is kind of like a podcast in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm always telling him, I'm like, dude, you should be like putting this out as a podcast, like.
Yeah.
But it's like he doesn't really need to. I guess he's doing what he wants to do with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that dude has an insane amount of energy to go. Because like I can't imagine what he'd be like on vacation. I feel like he'd just like lose his mind and not know what to do with himself.
Oh, like I mean, can you guys do vacation?
We don't do it well.
Because I feel like I could not relax.
He
Maybe
can,
if I
though.
get to a certain level of like, where things are like okay and I'm financially pretty stable, maybe I could then.
Yeah.
But I always feel like the minute I'm away from anything I'm working on, it's like, even like hanging out with friends, I can't do it because I'm like, well, I'm like, can we do it on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if we're, because then it's like at least something I can use.
Well, I'm terrible about it too. Like my work is on my phone. Like I have the app on my phone. I can get my texts from my clients. I can.
Yeah.
And so like even if we are on vacation,
you're going to be working in a sense.
Yeah. In the past 3 years, we've tried to take vacations, but it's usually for like a show.
Or it's like, what can I do that I could post that could turn, like. You're always thinking about those kind of things,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like my friends are like, oh, we should watch this or something. I'm like, well, can we do a watch along on the podcast? Because then it's like, we could make something out of it. I'm always like thinking like that.
Well, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't get PTO.
Yeah.
So like.
No, you don't. I get PTO at the bar. That's nice.
That's nice.
Yeah,
But then you just take that as an opportunity to grow this more.
To hopefully do something else.
Everything is.
Because do you want to
everything's
work
a
at the bar
trade-off.
your whole life?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I love it. I lucked out at, it's a great place to work, but
Well, that's why I felt
that's
about
not my
my
passion. I
corporate
don't even
job.
like drinking, Like, I'm always telling people not to drink. I'm like,
Yeah. That's how, like, because we always had the goal of me stepping away from my corporate job, but, like, we never knew, like, when that was going to be or, like, how we would make that decision. And we were actually in Arizona on one of our vacations to watch Jordan and Kim compete, and Mark competed too when they did the Ubu Expo.
Okay, dope.
And I got a call from my boss, and it was basically like a warning, like, hey, they were restructuring, and they were getting rid of my position, but they were offering me a new one that was actually like more money. And she's like, I just wanted to give you a heads up. I know you're on vacation. I wanted to give you time to think about it. And so I get off the phone. I'm talking to him. And he was like, well, do you want the position? And I'm like, well, the only reason I would take it is for the money.
Money.
And he was like, then don't take it.
That's got to be tough. So how do you know in that moment that that's like the right move? You know what I mean?
Honestly, I didn't. I needed him to physically tell me we will be okay. And then that's when I was like, okay.
I feel like everybody gets to that point, you know, like I was even talking to like my wrestling promoter. I talk about him all the time, but like, you know, about just stuff I'm doing and everything. And he's like telling me he's like, yeah, I remember I was working here. I was making all this kind of money. And then he started, you know, he does wrestling promotion. And then he also has like an eBay business. So like they just buy and sell stuff on eBay. And that's kind of like his goal was to work for himself, you know? So like, he's like, yeah, it was really weird. He's like, it's just like there's a point that comes where all of a sudden, like, you don't need that job anymore because you know, like, and he's like, I just had to know, like, it was okay to do because he's got people employed for him, you know, like, but it's like, dang, that's got to be really empowering feeling to kind of like.
I mean, never did I think I would be making the same amount of money working for myself that I made.
And it's something that you absolutely love, that you're passionate about.
It doesn't
you're helping
feel like
people.
Work. Yeah.
It's that scary like step into the unknown though. Like anybody who works for themselves at some point, like you get to that point where like, well, it's now or never. You know, you gotta shit or get off the pot at some point. Like if you're seeing success, it's like there's always like we had many talks about like it's gonna be scary. You don't know how it's gonna go, but like if you don't do it now, then when?
Yeah.
And,
right. It's like that thing about like. You know, action is more powerful than thinking sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think for a while I had my corporate job, so I wasn't like necessarily pushing my business as much as I should have been because I had that reliance, like, buffer.
Yeah.
And then when I finally stopped, I was like, well,
like now I have to like every day. It's like, how do I make money?
Yeah.
So
that's
it's like more pressure.
Yeah. That's a really good motivator to like keep you moving in life. Though is like when you don't have that security. Like of knowing that you have a steady paycheck. Hustle. Like if I don't work, I don't eat. Like that's a pretty good motivator to keep you moving.
Well, and for my lifestyle, like I need to be able to afford my food. Like
it's like a lot of food, right?
Yeah. So, well, not as much as you guys. I am a smaller person, but
right. What do you guys do for food a lot? Do you just like Costco and is it the basic stuff?
Well,
or like...
because we're right next to Fred Meyer.
Oh, Fred Meyer, yeah.
Like, have you ever done grocery pickup?
Oh no! Is that where they just like they do it? So you do it online and bam.
Yeah, so I have the app and the pickup thing is like right next to the gym. So I just like order it.
It's like why would I go walk around in the store?
So I used to go like every Sunday, walk through the store, get the same things, things, and then I'd have to wait in the line because that Fred Meyer is just like it's insanity.
Packed. I've been to that Fred Meyer many times after the gym. It's
and
packed.
Then I can't even remember what. I think I was sick or something. I was like, oh, I do not want to go in there.
Yeah, I think it was just during COVID you started doing that. Yeah.
My mom mentioned it. She's like, it's the greatest thing. And then we did it, and I was like, this is amazing. They like put it all in my car for me. They bagged it all.
Oh my
God.
All
I had to do was just pay on the app.
You can't even get that when you like go in. There's usually not a bagger. It's like all self checkout.
And it was during the time when like they switched to just paper bags, and I was getting so pissed because I would pick up the paper bag and like the handles would break.
Yeah.
And you got plastic bags on the pickup, and I was just like, this is so great.
I know, it's like I want to save the environment, but God, I hate paper bags.
But make a bag that works, please.
Like,
we got to do something better. There's got to be a way to make a bag that's like doesn't harm the environment, but doesn't suck to use.
Well, now they have plastic bags there, and I think the new plastic bags that they have are some kind of like biodegradable.
Right, I think all the new ones are.
Yeah, and you got to pay for them, but.
Yeah, well, you got to pay for it, but yeah, they're definitely better than the paper. The paper is always, and plus paper's not really helping the environment much either. Like, what do? They burn it, like it's probably not great.
But as far as food, we're pretty basic. Like
rice, everybody gives me a lot of crap. Everybody thinks that I actually eat trash because I'm always walking around the gym eating a pie.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've noticed that here.
You eat pie, dude?
You've never seen him eat a pie? He walks around like whole pies.
Yeah, I'll get like those.
Why do you eat so much pie,
it's
bro?
Favorite pre-workout.
It's my favorite pre-workout food.
Oh, it's a good. So it's instead of a Rice Krispie, you're like, I'll just do pie.
Yeah, because like pies are surprisingly low in fat, and they're just ass loads of carbs. So like, and
where do you get the pies?
So, dude, Fred Meyer, it's like the shitty.
And what kind of pie, dude?
$4.99. It's they got all the basics.
Are they like little ones, big ones?
It's like an 8-inch pie.
Okay.
Like so, pretty standard.
Yeah.
You know? Literally at the gym opening, he was eating a whole pie.
Yeah. Dude, I love it.
There's pictures of it.
Yeah, people don't realize how much bodybuilders are foodies. I don't think.
Yeah, I'm probably the least foodie you will ever meet when it comes to
you just like eat your strict thing and that's it.
If you walk into the office at the gym, any given time, someone's in there probably talking about food.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
I've noticed that on here, so I'm not, when I was super lean a few months ago, that's when it was the worst for me. I started like getting
cravings?
obsessed with food.
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah.
leaner you get,
Now
the
I'm
worse it
like,
gets.
whatever. Pretty soon I'm sure I'll be that way again.
Because you're fed.
But it's like, yeah, so you're fed. You like, I'm like, I don't even care about sweets, you know. But like when I was like really lean a few months ago, I was like watching crumble cookie things on Instagram and like,
And then you have it and you're like, that actually wasn't even that good.
no, it's usually when you eat a bunch of sugary stuff, like except for
feel
right
like
before the
crap.
lift.
Yeah.
Or like right after a lift, it can be really good, you know. But like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
you just feel like shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I try to keep it pretty natural or whatever. But yeah, I think bodybuilders love that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But pie sounds awesome, dude.
Yeah, dude. If you're like, you have a pretty high metabolism.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, is it hard for you to cut down?
It hasn't seemed super hard.
Is it harder for you to grow or cut?
I have a really hard time putting on muscle.
Yeah, then
so
Everybody
you're-
tells me
you're
I'm a
fast
hard
metabolism.
gainer.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can just
there
tell
you
by
go.
looking at you that you have a high metabolism.
Ectomorph.
So for you, like, yeah, next time, you know, like if you're not trying to cut, like if you're trying to add,
Right.
mass,
I just, honestly,
eat
I
pie,
can't
dude.
wait till next time I bulk after
Yeah.
this
Are you
show.
going to do a show?
I mean, yeah, I think
Are you doing
so.
makeup?
Which one are you leaning
Emerald
into?
Cup.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta like. I have so much shit going on. Like I really. Need, I mean, I'm on point for it.
Well, what I tell everyone is like, there's always going to be something that happens. Like,
Yeah.
preps are so long, you can't just pick a time that there's going to be nothing that happens.
No, it's always gonna be a challenge,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
You just got to do it.
I mean, it's like things are.
Unless you're like moving across country.
I mean,
then
yeah, I mean, you
maybe-
gotta
Oh
have your-
no.
you gotta have your life
Everything's pretty
sort
stable.
of in order.
Everything's
Yeah.
pretty stable right
Yeah.
now. So.
We'll have
Yeah.
a booth there, so we'll be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
afterwards, probably go hang out with all you guys, get
Yeah.
something to eat, have a giant cheat meal.
So are you on a prep officially?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
like 12 weeks out, I believe.
Sweet.
I
Do you know
know.
what you want for your post-show meal yet?
No idea. I was gonna hang out with whoever's around, like you guys.
Oh,
Like
we'll be
Mark.
there.
Mark was like, "Yeah, come out with us." I don't know what.
We went to 13 Coins last year.
And
Yeah.
what's that?
It's like one of the only like open late restaurants in
Right. That's the
Bellevue.
problem. There's really nothing.
Yeah, because are you doing classic or men's physique?
It'll be men's physique.
Yeah, so you're gonna be one of the last ones on stage, so your options are
Welcome
gonna be
to the
pretty
bikini
limited.
world.
Yeah, I'm not that
Post-show.
big. You know, I don't
Yeah.
care that much. I'm kind. You know, like
Yeah.
definitely something sweet would be good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
some kind of cookie or some
Yeah.
shit.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have cookies at the booth. Like,
Right.
people
Yeah.
bring stuff.
Everybody brings stuff. That's like it's so funny because my friend started this craft beer bakery where she like
Yeah.
uses beer and makes these amazing cakes.
That
like,
sounds amazing. I would eat that.
Jeff, if you like those pies, bro, like you should check out.
I love baked goods.
Oh my god, her cakes are like
Have
insane.
you ever seen Kim's cookies? Kim Bickley's?
No, let me see.
I'm going to show you.
Kim's Confectionery. Yeah, giving her a good shout out on the podcast.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
I told my friend, I'm
So-
like, you need to get into like bodybuilding stuff because you don't realize like that's a huge market. Like if
Yeah.
you can sell your stuff, like
just absolute
post show.
gluttons for that kind of stuff.
Oh
yeah.
yeah, like right after a show, they just like go crazy.
So, this is our friend Kim. These
Okay,
are her,
let's check this out.
She makes them in her kitchen.
Oh my god! Like all
will
these
make
things
them on
stacked together, I would
Yeah.
eat the shit out of
Yeah.
that.
And
She'll
they're-
she'll probably bring them to Emerald Cup if you just give her your order and she'll just bring them to the booth.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
And guarantee we'll have some hanging out at the booth too. Like
I'm like,
there's-
oh, I'm not really into sweets anymore because I'm fat. Now I
And
see
oh
this, I'm
my
like, I would
God.
eat the shit out of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, because they're all stacked.
yeah,
And
and they usually have some kind of filling
Yeah.
in them.
I'll
too,
be
like
completely honest.
peanut
I've
butter and
actually
jelly
never
or
eaten
whatever.
one of those because I would die.
Right.
But
Too much sugar.
He's had them.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna have to give her a follow because I do think that stuff's cool. Like, but yeah, check out Craft Beer Bakery. That's my
Craft
friend
Beer Bakery.
Jess.
Okay.
Yeah, here I'll show you her cakes.
Where is she at? Is she like pretty close by or?
Yeah, she's right here because so she works at the bar that I do, and then she was working for like I don't know some big kitchen or whatever, but she got into this. I mean, this is like what her cakes look like. They're just like crazy. But
Oh
she-
yeah, they look
Thick.
like those are legit cakes.
Yeah, like,
like that's
she
not at
uses-
all what I pictured.
beer to make like I like the
Oh,
chocolate
beer
ones.
cakes?
What the beer is in like so like if
Is
she
it like
makes
infused?
yeah it's like infused so it's all cooked out like kids could eat it. It's not like there's actually like
Not
So
like
so are
gonna
they
get
like
drunk?
because beer has yeast in it, right?
There's a
So like is it
Pop-Tart.
like extra
Oh.
fluffy? Because that looks fluffy as shit.
yeah.
Wait,
they're
is that a
probably-
Pop Tart or?
Yeah, that's a Pop-Tart. So that one has a base is Pop-Tart. And then the jam, I suppose she uses like the raspberry goza, which is a beer, to create the good. You know, and if she uses the chocolatey one, she'll use like the coffee porter to like make I don't know how she does it, but
Interesting.
they're all infused with beer, so that's like the gimmick. But I mean, her stuff
That chocolate
is
one
so
looks
good.
Damn,
Oh, wow.
tell her to come up to Bodyshop and do a booth.
That's what I said. I'm like, you need to do a pop-up at Body Shop
Where does
someday.
she live?
Just right here.
You
Like,
should tell her to message me.
I will. I'll get her in touch with you because I do think like she should tap into that bodybuilder
1,000.
thing.
Yeah.
Like Kim just did it in her kitchen.
Yeah.
And we've
It's blown up.
I feel like she's blown up.
Yeah.
Dude, her stuff looks so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. She ships stuff
Like
now.
if she plans a pop up at our gym, like probably in like the week after
Right.
E-Cup, like she'll sell out.
I should
Guaranteed.
actually have her on here because then she'll bring me some free stuff to try.
She does live kind of far away.
But then I can't eat any of it.
She lives in Bremerton.
Yeah.
Right. Like right now, I'm just like I'm just not doing cheats. You know, it's like
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't. I feel like for me, like I know people can do kind of a cheat meal or whatever. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just better off if I stay away from it.
A lot of
Well,
people are
as
like
you
that.
as you get closer, it'll be like you'll probably get more cheats, but it won't be like as a reward. It's more strategic, like
Yeah,
to fill you
fill you
out.
out.
Right.
There'll be a purpose to it rather than just like a, you know.
Yep,
like,
a meaning to it.
Yeah, and
Well, you kind of just got to look at food right now as like fuel. Like you're giving your body what it needs.
When I'm at my best in life, that's all I view food at. Like, it's fun to get into it. I don't know. Like when I was wrestling, that's kind of how I was. I was so obsessed. Like I don't know. I was probably even like kind of a dick about it. You know, like you just like look down at other people like, oh my god, you eat that shit. You know, like I don't know. But then I think getting into bodybuilding, I've actually learned a lot more about food. And then like you said, following people like Lane Norton and stuff, like kind of debunking a lot of this. Like we have a lot of weird ideas about food, or like.
Oh, I hear a lot of them.
Yeah.
And like even having like Tiana was on here talking about eating disorder and stuff, and like this fear of sugar, fear of carbs, and like
Yeah.
you get into bodybuilding, you're like, oh, this is all meaningless. It's like all these fad diets are so stupid.
they're so stupid. Yeah.
When you educate yourself, I do think people that get into the sport and don't educate and just follow like whatever their cookie cutter coach is saying,
Yeah.
it can create eating
disorder.
disorders.
Yeah.
But if you educate yourself on it
yeah.
and start understanding what food does in your body, like people being scared of carbs, but they don't really understand what it's actually doing. That's where you get your energy
right.
from.
So do you? Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Yeah.
I was just it's just I get so like I've got such a soapbox about just like how twisted the general population's like
Views of food.
what their views of food are, and like what they're taught in school, and just like the well, I mean what they're not taught in school, because like you know
Well, or like what our
like-
government is saying.
yeah, like the stupid fucking food pyramid and all that.
Did you
stupid
see
shit.
all that stuff they released
About
about
Fruity
like
Pebbles or
like
whatever.
like fruity pebbles are healthier than steak?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's like who paid you to say that? You know, like
Oh,
it's just,
somebody,
it's,
clearly,
You know,
yeah.
it's just like all that stuff is so.
well, think
maddening,
about it, like
but-
all these companies are owned by like they say like 11 companies own like all, so like all the cereal if you funnel up, they're all owned by
Yeah.
like these like I think
Yeah.
it's like 10 or 11 giant companies own
Yeah.
basically all brands.
Yeah.
So who do you think is paying them to say that
Yeah.
shit? Like eat cereal, it's good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll eat cereal because I fucking.
Well, I love it,
but-
yeah, but like you clearly
But,
know
like,
eggs and steak
yeah,
are
you gotta
better
have
for
the
you.
other stuff too, and it's
Yeah.
all about what how much of what, and like
Right.
just the message that gets put out is so
It's so
fucked
weird.
up.
Like they had eggs and like meat as like terrible for you, and it's like
they
so
raise your
bioavailable
cholesterol.
amino acids. Like
Yeah.
if you were starving some tribe, like they know how precious meat is. They'll seek it out. Like it's
Yeah.
like that is like life to us, and
Yeah.
we're saying this is bad for us. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then all those companies out there like Atkins and stuff like that, like it's just creating all the Weight Watchers and all of this stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's just creating terrible relationships with food.
Now, do you think that is kind of a thing in bodybuilding? Is it can be there's people that have like eating disorders, or it can like
Oh, for sure.
maybe
Oh, yeah.
especially like women's bikini. I could see that sometimes.
Well, and I
or-
mean, I'll even admit it. Like, I had a terrible relationship with food at
Yeah,
first.
right.
Like, my first prep, I did if it fits your macros and just YOLO'd it.
So you just like eat what I want, but if it
Basically,
fits,
yeah. And that's why I got all of my health issues. Like, I was eating so much processed shit.
yeah.
And my body was just like, you know what? 2 middle fingers right here.
So what have you found? Like you think natural stuff kind of works the best?
With
like,
my body, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the whole foods, and like, you're going to feel better. Your body's going to feel fed. You're not going to feel deprived.
Right.
Like, my digestion works way better on
Mm-hmm.
it. Like, you talk to people, and I feel like most people just feel like, oh, this is just normal to like get gassy or like feel bloated after something. They're like, it always happens, so it's just normal. And then when you start changing up your diet and you start realizing what it really feels like to be normal, you're like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, like a lot of those things go away when you get on the proper diet. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, and then you'll talk to people with these issues, and you're like, what do you, like, I never deal with that.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not saying you can't enjoy a pizza or a burger here and there, but like, it's like anything. What you do mostly is what you're going to benefit from consistently.
yeah, and then the funny thing is when you do eat something off of your normal stuff, you usually do feel kind of like
you
shit.
don't even want it anymore because
it's
you
like
don't
being
crave
hungover,
it.
you know, it's like, yeah.
Like my favorite cheat meal, like, is a steak and sweet potato fries or just like a good burger with sweet potato
same.
fries.
Like you said, what would you want to do after the show? Like for me, it's like a giant burger with fries.
Like pasta and cheese, I just know that would not sit in my stomach.
No, I wouldn't even want pasta.
Yeah.
Sushi, giant plates of sushi, I could see that.
He's vomiting in his mouth right now.
Oh, you're not a sushi guy?
No, I fucking hate it.
Dude, what about bacon sushi? With sushi with bacon?
I've never
This
had
deep
that,
fried.
but, like, that sounds good.
We went to this place. It was like Sake House, I believe, in Seattle, and like we got a lot of like stuff that you probably wouldn't like because it was more traditional raw stuff.
Yeah.
We got a good mix of everything, but then we got some of the deep fat, like they're not even healthy rolls. But when you're going for a cheat meal, like that's what you want.
Oh yeah.
And one of them was like covered in bacon bits, and like, it was called the cowboy roll.
Have you ever been to Hapanesa in Bellevue?
Nah, is that good?
Oh,
Sushi?
Yeah, and Ascend, it's a steakhouse, but they have some really... Did you ever try the sushi?
No, they only give
Or
us like
steak.
3 pieces. So
Steak
Well,
and a potato.
steak, yeah.
Steak and a potato.
1000%.
That's a great cheat meal.
Have you ever had... Do you ever sous vide your steak at home?
No, I don't. Is that where you put it in that plastic bag?
Yeah, I bought him one for Christmas, and it is like...
The best.
The
yeah,
best.
it is. I was skeptical. I mean, I figured it'd be good because everybody talks so highly of it, but I was like, it can't be like that much better. But
oh, it is, huh?
It's like that much better.
I was
you
gonna
can
say,
put the
everybody
shittiest
talks
steak
about it.
And it gets so tender.
Yeah.
It's like you can make the shittiest cut of steak like turn amazing.
Turn amazing.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think we only have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
So.
Do you have any last questions?
No, I think you guys covered it. We can have you guys on again, or we can have you on again to talk about bikini and stuff. But I guess just like anything that you want to wrap up here, or like shout out to any sponsors, like you guys are partnered with FX Subs maybe, or like
They sell their supplements.
if you guys have anything that you want to promote right now, or plans for the Body Shop for the future, just something to end on.
I mean, I would just say, like, follow our social media. I do try to have seminars and stuff like that at least, like, once a month.
Yep.
We are having a DEXA truck come out on the
Awesome.
18th of February. So, like, if you're interested in getting your DEXA scan done, that'll be there. We
Oh,
try to do
that's
stuff
dope.
like that, like, once a month. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're getting ready to do a weight loss challenge
Yep.
in conjunction with the DEXA truck. So follow us on social media. We're launching that soon. We'll be posting a lot about that here soon. So
then you can sign up for that on.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
we
if
also
you're-
have a
if you're-
YouTube, too.
Yeah, so if you're interested in like it's that time of year to kind of start new programs.
Right, beginning
and
of the
stuff,
year. Good. That's a good way to. I mean, everybody's
Yeah.
doing that 75 hard thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a similar type of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, even my dad, like I remember one time there was just a fitness center did a challenge like that, and it was just the idea that like he could win money, and he
100%.
killed it.
And
he
then it
just needed
builds
that
habits, and then you keep doing it.
Yeah, just that extra motivation. All right, guys. Well, thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Thank you
for
for
having us,
having
man.
us.
Yeah, and everybody, thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.